Why did Satan think he could possibly defeat God? It is hard to imagine a being like Lucifer believing he could even do battle with God, much less defeat him. Even the most depraved mind should be able to see that a creature cannot possibly contend with the Creator. Yet Satan attempted to dethrone God and strives to this day to defy God's authority, thwart his plans, and harass his people. Perhaps part of this explanation is that pride has blinded Satan to reality. Two Old Testament books, Isaiah and Ezekiel, discuss Satan's original position and the reasons for his loss of that position. They tell of an exalted angelic being, one of God's creatures, who became proud. He determined to take the throne of God for himself, but God removed him from that position. Satan's influence in worldly affairs is clearly revealed. Satan is extremely intelligent. Through his intelligence, he deceived Adam and Eve and took over their rule of the world for himself. His cleverness enables him to carry out his deceptive work almost at will, although his power is subject to God's restrictions. He does have certain victories, although within the boundaries God has set for him, and perhaps these victories allow him to continue the illusion that he can have victory over God himself. The reigns of God on Satan's activities are illustrated by Satan's request to God for permission to afflict Job. Satan is permitted to afflict God's people, but he is never permitted to win an ultimate victory over them. A part of Satan's continuing ambition to replace God is his passionate yearning to have others worship him. Satan is the wicked one, while God is the holy one. Satan's nature is malicious. His efforts in opposing God, his people, and his truth are tireless. He is always opposed to man's best interest. Through his role in introducing sin into the human family, Satan has gained the power of death, a power which Christ has broken through his crucifixion and resurrection. Satan tempted Christ directly, trying to lead him into compromise by promising him worldly authority and power. Despite Satan's self-delusion that he can defeat God, Satan is destined to fail. His final defeat is predicted in John. Revelations. The death of Christ on the cross is the basis for Satan's final defeat. That event was the grand climax to a sinless life during which Jesus triumphed over the enemy repeatedly. Satan probably rejoiced in the death of Christ, believing it to be a victory for him. But like all his victories, that one too was short-lived. When Christ rose from the grave, Satan was once again defeated. The final victory will come when Jesus returns and Satan is cast into the lake of fire. The death and resurrection of Christ provide the believer's strength for victory over sin. We have assurance that the God of peace will crush Satan under your feet. But such personal victory depends on God's grace and power in our lives and our will to offer resistance to Satan's temptations. To help Christians win this battle against Satan, God has provided the power of Christ's blood, the continuing prayer of Christ in heaven for believers, the leading of the Holy Spirit, and various weapons for spiritual warfare.